How about one of my true stories again?
Oh, indulge me in your true story.
I mean, actually, this is a true story from a trucking company this week.
Oh, okay. So it's not actually your true story. It's a true story from someone that told you.
I was surprised. You think you heard like everything somebody could pull. So this trucking company, I don't want to say their name because of the driver, but they were conducting their local, their weekly hiring thing, right?
Oh, okay.
And so they had this driver that I guess they got him approved to come to work for them.
Okay.
This was last Monday.
Okay, so they were doing their conducting of hiring, and
Right. He
was
checked,
approved.
He checked out, for them to say, we think we can hire him.
Okay.
So this was on a Monday. So he was scheduled to come in the following Monday. They were going to give him travel and all this other good stuff.
Okay.
He shows up the next day at their door.
Not a week later?
No, a day later.
Okay. Eager beaver.
Well, you don't hear of that often, right? It's like, okay, you conduct your hiring on a Monday and a Tuesday, and most companies, they give you travel towards the end of the week, and they bring you into their orientation the following week. That's usually how it happens, right?
Generally, yeah.
Unless, of course, the company says, hey, can you come in sooner? They normally, but let's just put it this way. This guy was scheduled to come in the following week.
Right. And one thing that we did forget to mention is during that hiring process and before they come in, there's usually the which way am I going to come battle, car, plane, train type of thing,
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, everybody had knowledge of this guy, but he somehow shows up at their terminal the very next morning.
A week early, and not only is he a week early, but he provided his own transportation?
So anyways, bottom line, it was what appeared to be a normal week at this trucking company. They had a guy approved. He knew they were going to get his travel set up, blah, blah, blah. And instead, he just decides to knock on their door the next morning. And the director was telling me this story, and I was like, wow, this is a really odd. I mean, I said to him, how many times has that ever happened to you? And he goes, never. I said, so something's weird. He goes, well, after further investigation, we find that the driver's homeless.
Wow.
Exactly. And then on top of it, has a dog with him. So he shows up homeless with Rover, right? And now the trucking company's like, what are you doing here? You're not supposed to be coming the next week. They investigate and they realize, oh, we see why. You need a place to stay, whether it's in our truck or wherever.
Mm-hmm.
You're looking for a place. So in all fairness to the trucking company, they move with compassion. And they literally like, okay, let's help this guy. It's like some companies would have been like, you know what, dude, you never told us this. This is BS. Mm-hmm. We're not going to hire you now. Leave. Mm-hmm. Some would do that. Mm-hmm. But this company was like, hey, he's qualified. He's homeless. And he's got a dog. It just so happens that it's Tuesday. Let's see if we can get him into the orientation, get him drug screened, and get him taken care of, mm-hmm. right? And mm-hmm. we'll give him a hotel that actually accepts pets, and we will pay for everything for this guy.
That's that, like you said, that was compassionate.
So they do. They get him in Tuesday. He's now in orientation. Yay. Honestly, isn't that a really cool story?
Good job.
So Wednesday comes. So you thought that was the end?
No, I didn't. There has to be something. I'm just waiting for the ball.
So Wednesday morning comes. Guess who doesn't show up for orientation? But he's in the hotel.
Really?
Yes. The homeless trucker with the dog.
He's
in the hotel with the puppy.
But not in orientation.
Not in orientation. So everybody's like, okay, where's the homeless trucker? He's in the hotel. Okay, call him and ask him what's going on. So he answers the phone. And he says, well, I decided I'll just wait till next week.
Sorry.
Well, exactly. So now the homeless trucker with the dog is now going to dictate policy to a company that moved with compassion to take care and pay for him, feed him, just get him all totally taken care of. Now this guy's like, yeah, I'm just going to wait till next week to start.
What did he? Okay, go ahead.
So to me, what he's really saying is, I want a free week in a hotel, hot shower, you feed me, take care of me, and then I'll show up for work next week and do your 3-day orientation, which I think is what this company does.
Mm-hmm.
So right away, the director's like, whoa, it doesn't work that way, dude. We jumped through hoops to get you hired to take care of you. And now you're going to say to us, this is the rule. You're going to now dictate policy to us. You know what the guy says to him? I feel that you're trying to control me and micromanage me. This was his answer was to the director. You're micromanaging me.
I can kind of see why he's homeless right now.
And that's actually what I said too. And it's not even the fact that you can see why he's homeless. I'm just being honest. I can't even see how they qualified him. It's almost like, how could you expect your potential employer, right, to take you in immediately and your dog, feed you, pay for your hotel, get you ahead of a schedule, which their policy was they do their orientations on a Monday, and they were just going to help this guy.
Mm-hmm.
And then you turn to the company and say, oh, you're trying to micromanage me. That doesn't even make sense.
So was there anything that happened after that, or did the director say, all right, I'm micromanaging, back out on the street?
Well, I mean, he had no choice, because just think about what you have now in your orientation, or I'm sorry, your hotel. What do you have now? You have a guy that's defiant, dictating the rules, and now you're thinking, what's going to happen if I now put this guy in our fleet?
Mm-hmm.
How's he going to be with dispatch if he knows us less than 24 hours and he's already causing issues?
Mm-hmm.
So I would tell you, yeah, of course they sent him home. They said, listen, you're done. We cannot hire you at this point. There's no way, if you can't work with us in the beginning, that you could even think of being, with one of our dispatchers, and it'd be a nightmare once you get this guy and all his clothing and everything embedded into your truck. And next thing you know, if he started off this way with orientation, how's he going to be with a dispatcher? And we already know. I mean, he's telling you how he's going to be to work with.
Yeah, I would say he was. I mean, showing up a week early, first of all, and then going on and saying that kind of comment, not showing up, no communication. Companies don't need that right now, especially.
Well, especially in this economy, like you were saying, because there's a million drivers that are looking for work right now. And because of the lack of freight, a lot of companies don't have a lot of openings like they normally do.
Mm-hmm.
Even though it looks like they are hiring. And remember what I told you. Keep an eye on Craigslist and watch for local and regional and dedicated runs in the big cities. And you don't see hardly any of that right now, which that tells you there's not a lot of jobs out there. The only thing out there right now is over the road. If you get a local job, it's probably a really crappy one right now.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Definitely.
So I would just tell any driver right now, if you're having a hard time getting a job and then somebody gives you a chance, when you show up, yes, sir, no, sir, be a good guy. Because honestly, these companies are not playing games right now. And I'm just telling my trucker brothers, however you want to word it, be careful. Okay, because companies are not kissing ass right now like they were a year or two ago. And therefore, a lot of drivers are finding themselves out on the outside looking in.
Well, not only that, but trucking, I mean, if you really want to be truthful, does have a form of micromanagement in it. I mean, you have dispatch, there's chains of command. You have dispatch is going to tell you where you're going.
That's right.
You have certain choices, but it's not like you can say no to everything. And it's not like you have, if they're a company that doesn't have force dispatch, they at least only will give you a couple of choices and you're going to have to take a run. I mean, it doesn't matter. You're not going to go without an income. So
here's the advice I would tell any one of you truck drivers and experienced and you new truck drivers coming out of school. If your school told you that you got a Class A CDL and everybody's going to kiss your ass and they're going to wine and dine you and you could write your own ticket, right now you're being lied to. Okay? Come into the industry with humility. Be humble. Because right now the guys that aren't humble are getting, I shouldn't say they're getting screwed, but they're getting cut. They are cutting drivers like crazy right now with these trucking companies. They're chopping them for the littlest thing. For the littlest thing. I've talked to a bunch of companies lately, and they said right now they've never seen the industry like it is. And therefore, any drivers that argue and fight and cause trouble, they said, we literally will have them pull into a truck stop, and we'll have somebody go to get the truck and remove them there instead of bringing them in even. So be careful, drivers. That's all I'm saying.
Wow. Yeah, definitely be careful.
Be very careful because right now, trucking companies are on edge because of freight and they don't need trouble. So, let's all get along is what I'm saying. I'm not here to pick on drivers, but because most drivers are good guys, what I mean? They know the rules.
Right.
And then you get a guy like this.
Yeah.
It's like, where'd this guy come from? And what a new story to be able to tell on a podcast.
That's definitely got me there.
Yeah. So moving on. Let's take a quick break. Truck Parking Club is a network of instantly reservable daily and monthly truck parking locations throughout the U.S. Truck Parking Club helps connect truckers to truck parking locations throughout the U.S. via truckparkingclub.com. Our networks is made up of property owners that have locations adequate for truck parking to list on the platform. This includes trucking companies, storage companies, CDL schools, trailer leasing companies, real estate investors, truck parking operators, and more. Go to truckparkingclub.com today.
Attention trucking companies and truck drivers. If you need help with cash flow, we've got help on the way. Turn to Tab Bank, the bank that knows trucking. Tab Bank has been in the business of helping truck drivers and trucking companies with their cash flow needs for 25 years. It's just that simple. It's what they do, but they don't stop there. Tab Bank helps grow your business with their invoice, factoring, and banking services. What a plus that is. Before you book your next load, play it safe and contact Tab Bank to get their help with your factoring needs. Tab Bank helps determine the credit worthiness of your customers as well as billing and collection efforts on invoices that you factor with them. Let the experts at Tab Bank get you cash quickly for the loads you deliver. Again, it's what they do. Visit tabbank.com/TalkCDL to learn more. That's tabbank.com/TalkCDL. Tab Bank member FDIC.
All right, we're back. I want to tell you another quick story that a driver told me that I actually never had heard before. And I believe the guy. And the guy was working, this was a guy that was working in the oil field.
Okay.
He was a driver for a really big company. In fact, probably the biggest company. And everybody knows who I'm talking about. And he told me a story of how, the hours are subsidized. Because he told me this. He said, I went in there and agreed to $13.50 an hour as a driver. And he said, and when I left 4 years later, I was up to $23 an hour. He said, but we were bringing home, there was paychecks like $4,000 and $5,000 when times were good. Mm-hmm. I'm like, dude, that doesn't add up. You cannot make $5,000 at $13.50 an hour, $20 an hour. You can't do it. He said, no, you can't. But when they subsidize your hours, you can. I go, what do you mean? He goes, okay, we would work 12 hours. And then we would call in because there was no limit on hours in our industry. They're not like the regular trucking industry. He said, we would call in and we would ask dispatcher safety, hey, what hours do we put down? Because you're allowed more. In one day, they'd put down sometimes 34 hours, which I know that there's only 24 hours in a period, in a daily period. He said, so we'd be on 12 hours, and because we're considered on the job waiting, wink, wink, even though they weren't, they were done for the day, right? They would put in 34 hours. He said, we would clock 160 hours in a week and get paid for it. And it's so it's almost like you're just on the clock round and round because there's 168 hours in a week. And if you're logging 160, or not logging, but clocking 160, you're making a lot of money, but you're also ripping off the government because the government was subsidizing these hours.
Oh, see, I was trying to figure out, well, why would the company approve of that? See, I didn't know that part.
No.
So
I know.
That really got me. But, it's really sad how some people, the government's being used in so many different ways of that. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, I actually believe the guy. The guy there was no reason to BS me on this. He was telling me how it worked there. And I was thinking, no wonder they're, cranking out the money, because it's like the milk industry, right? When they don't want farmers making so much, they pay them to dump it. You know what I mean? So that there's less, so that the price can go up. That's called, and then the government subsidizes it and they pay the farmers for the milk, believe it or not. And so I would see why wouldn't it be any different in the oil industry? The government controls that too.
It's a shame.
It is a shame. It's like people are, no wonder there's so many dirty people with their hands in the pie, and the little guy, looked like the little guy was actually making $1 there, the driver, but still it's
Would that be a reasoning why the gas prices would be higher?
I don't know, honestly. That's controlled on the market, I think, because the oil industry is on the stock exchange now. So I think that, the price of the barrel is really controlled by investors. But still, all I'm saying is, though, this subsidizing crap, and somehow, and I don't even know how it worked, but it's very, to me, illegal and very underhanded that companies are doing this. And you would think the government would know this. I mean, if I'm the government and I see a guy he's working 160 out of 168 hours, wink, wink, I would be questioning that.
Yeah, that's a lot of work. You're taking an hour and 15, hour and so many minutes a day.
And I don't think the government personally...
It's not enough hours to shower and eat.
I don't think the government's really questioning it.
I don't think so. They don't question hammers that cost,
$500 for a hammer?
$1 million,
All right. Anyways, moving on. Moving on. So there's a couple things I wanted to mention. I was reading this story about this cop, right? And a lot of people are against cops, right? But this cop was he did a video, and it was on CDL Life, by the way. He did a video thanking truckers for over the years for the things that they've done to help the police and keep the country going. Mm-hmm. And so I just wanted to kind of read a little bit of it. The cop, police officer, took to social media to voice appreciation for the truck drivers that have saved the day over the course of his career. He said, I want to recognize the people on the roadway I feel don't get enough recognition. He says, and that's our truck drivers. Not only do they work around the clock to get products from one state to the other to make sure that the country operates the way it does. He said, I want to talk about at least 3 incidents that I've been involved with truckers that had to step in and save the day for me. He said, I've been involved in 3 different police chases. Okay. Vehicle pursuits, he says. Mm-hmm. He said they all ended safely. And it was always because a trucker blocked the suspect to where he couldn't go anywhere.
Go truckers.
And then he even goes on to say, a lot of times we never really got to thank these truckers because we're too busy handcuffing somebody, mm-hmm. right? And, cordoning off a scene, blah, blah, blah. And it kind of reminds me of one. We did a report a few years ago. I don't know if you remember, where a trucker saved a day and he stopped somebody. But it clearly showed the video of him just putting his hand out the window and waving after he seen the cops had him. He gave him a little wave like, hey, I did my job. See you later. And he wasn't even looking for a pat on the back.
Right. No, I do remember that one. I think it was it Eastern Tennessee or Kentucky, like way off in that area outside of maybe up above Georgia?
Yeah,
Atlanta area.
I don't know. But like, I thought it was pretty cool that because everybody thinks cops are out to get you, and not every cop is out to get you. It's funny, when I was reading that story, I was remembering when I used to run Chicago to Pennsylvania, and we would be coming through Pennsylvania up on 80, and we would be doing sometimes triple digits. Okay, I had a Western Star, my buddy had a Western Star, and I think Craig had a Freightliner. No, he had a Pete, I think, right? So it was like 2 Western Stars and a Pete, and we were cranking, like, I'm talking 100 miles an hour. We would do, 90 to 105 we were doing across Pennsylvania. And a couple times we got to this one state cop, and he just flashed his light and come on the CB and says, it's late at night. I'm not out to you. Slow it down. That he never even tried to bust us. And because it was 3:00 in the morning, there was zero traffic. And I know that's a little too fast we were going. This was a long time ago. So don't write in with hate mail saying I deserved the ticket. I probably did deserve the ticket, but the cop was cool. He never, we had cops. I've had cops come on the CB and tell us about something up ahead. We've had cool cops that help truckers also. So my hat's back off to the cops that were cool, And believe me, I'll tell you a quick story. One time my buddy and I, actually my 2 buddies and I, when we were young, we were like early 20s. Actually, no, I think we were 18. And they each had a Ninja and I had a GSXR. And we were like flying. We were in Hamburg, Pennsylvania, and we were doing like 20, 30 over. And next thing you know, this Stady is behind us, right? And he pulls us over. And we take our helmets off. And he just starts BSing with us. And I mean, for an hour, we're sitting literally on his hood talking about hunting and all kind of crazy things. He's talking to us like a dad. Like, it was really cool. And like, it's getting late, right? And I go, hey, I don't mean to cut it short. We got to get going soon. You're not going to give us a ticket, are you? He goes, oh, no, yeah, I got to give you a ticket.
So you wanted to waste more of your time.
Yeah, he goes, yeah, man, I really enjoyed talking to you, but yeah, you guys are going too fast. You're getting a ticket. There was no break. So some cops don't give you a break. And you know what? We probably deserve that too. But it was, again, my hats are off to the cops that actually give you a break. They're not always out to bust you. They're not out to give you inspections. They're not out to ruin your day. There's some cops that are really cool and they know, hey, I don't need to give this guy a ticket. Maybe just pulling him over is going to work, So my hat's back off to those guys. And thank you to that officer for recognizing truck drivers that, that do help, because there's a lot of truck drivers that are out there, highway angels. We see that award all the time.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Helping people that are broke down, slowing down and doing the right thing.
Oh, just even when the ones now with the human trafficking,
Yeah.
they're always trying to help in some form. You have those truckers that are out there that know they make a difference, and they do everything they can to make the name of a truck driver be up on that higher level than what some of America feels a truck driver is, as being really low on that level. So truckers make us, not us, but make other people realize that they are something good out there and not a piece of equipment just going down the road and no idea what they do. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I do. So moving on.
For over 20 years, Sumar Financial has been a trusted partner for owner-operators and small carriers, providing fast, flexible, and transparent freight factoring solutions that keep businesses rolling. Here's why truckers choose Sumar. Number 1, same-day payments. Number 2, if a broker doesn't pay, Sumar takes the loss. Zero risk for you. Number 3, no reserve plan. Get all your money up front with no hidden final payouts. Number 4, no long-term commitment. Try Sumar with no minimum volume requirements or long-term contracts. Number 5, fuel card program with top savings. The best network in the country, flexible payment methods, and IFTA support. With fast, hassle-free payments, technology-driven solutions, dedicated account executives, no surprises, no hidden fees. Trust Sumar Financial to get your invoices paid today. And when we say paid today, we mean paid today. If you're a driver looking for a new trucking job, check out NCI. NCI offers the following: new Kenworth T680s, competitive wages, solo, team, and students welcome, plus a full benefit package for you and your family. Check them out today at 888-311-7076. That's 888-7076. And tell them TalkCDL sent you.
Okay, I just got one last thing I wanted to mention. This past week, LTI, it's a reefer company, just abruptly shut down. They filed for bankruptcy, 240 drivers. And there's companies shutting down all over the place. But the reason I wanted to mention LTI, because they did something that I really haven't seen much done in the past when companies are shutting down. They actually helped their drivers. They actually promised their drivers they're going to pay them. If they wanted to deliver through the weekend, they would make sure they got home. They would not strand or screw these guys. And I thought that was admirable. I could name companies: Arrow Truck Line, Charger, Eck Miller companies.
Timely Transport was one too.
I'm just saying, all these companies that I watched shut down over the years, drivers showed up at a fuel island only to find their fuel card was shut off and they were screwed.
Yeah, they had no idea the company was shutting down.
Yeah, the company had zero decency, in them when they shut down. This company told the drivers and literally worked it out with these guys instead of jacking them, which I thought was really, really cool, So I would tell you that any of you trucking companies that are on the verge of shutting down, take a page out of LTI's book and trust that your drivers aren't going to screw you when you tell them, because from what I hear, it sounds like it's a smooth operation in this company shutting down. The drivers are getting the trucks back to them and they're getting them home and taking care of them. And I'm hearing they're going to get their last paycheck. So guys, and I think they're also going to make sure that their reference is there for these drivers. Something else, a lot of these companies that didn't even put it on DAC, they just shut down and jacked the driver. And that's, Ruth Ann, that's pretty much my podcast for the week. You got something for me?
Do you on Facebook, do you follow Mighty Truckers?
I know you do. Yeah. If I'm being honest with you, we have 400,000 truck drivers and trucking companies and families that follow us. So I have TalkCDL following a small handful over the years, but I'm super busy with TalkCDL that no, I don't follow many of them. I mean, and I would like to. In fact, I just got an email from some other trucking podcast. They want to come on our show and have us come on their show, and it's just little things like that. And I just literally don't keep up with that as much because, our social media has us very busy. Anyways, you're looking at me like, Troy, shut up and let us go.
Well, I only asked a question. You gave me a paragraph, so.
Yeah, you're right.
Well, the reason I ask is sometimes I'll watch these different ones. I mean, there's some that are just awesome. Like I'll watch, Long Haul Bandits. I'll see their stuff. So I get to see every one of them. A lot of times I'll just catch a glimpse. Well, earlier today, Mighty Truckers posted a video of a driver that was saying, I guess there was some tornado watches going on in, I think it was Milton, Illinois or something like that, somewhere up there in Illinois. And he was at a TA, and the TA locked the doors for the truckers that they couldn't get in to get out of their trucks to get into safety. Yeah, and he's like, I would not recommend coming to the TA. Don't come to this TA. They locked the doors. We can't get in.
And you're sure this was legit, right?
Well, I just seen it. You could see the wind blowing. You could see the rain going. And I don't know if the one truck was being pushed by the wind or if it was actually driving away, because I don't see it. If you're underneath a tornado watch and it was blowing like that, I don't see a truck just going on their own. Usually they would stay parked just because of they wouldn't want the wind to blow their trailer over. So it sounded like and he turned around and he's pulling on the door and the door was locked. So I don't know. So I'd like to know what was really going on there.
Did he video like people standing behind the glass door saying, "We can't let you in. We can't let"? No.
No, I don't think he videoed any of that.
I'll have to go on Mighty Truckers and check that video out myself.
Yeah, it was. I mean, it was just pretty interesting. That's why I was like, "Hey, did you see this?" Just to see.
There was something else I did want to mention, real quick. There was a story of a young 16-year-old girl that was pregnant and on the run because she was with her 40-year-old boyfriend who was the daddy. Mm. And I guess they ended up at a TA. I think it was a TA. And I guess a trucker gave him a ride. The good news is the trucker's not being charged. Okay. Obviously, he just was thinking there was a couple needing a ride. Mm-hmm. But the guy, I think his last name is Day, D-A-Y. He's in trouble. You got a 16-year-old. She's now 17. You got a 17-year-old pregnant girlfriend, but she was pregnant when she was 16, and you're 40. I would imagine the law wants to talk to you. But
you got some issues there, buddy.
That's all I'll say on that. All right, moving on. What do you got for the word of the day?
I got an interesting word.
Let's hear it.
It definitely, I did not expect this to come out when you hear it.
Sabulous.
Sabulous?
Sabulous.
Sabulous.
Sabulous, like fabulous with an S.
Exactly. So what would you think sabulous would be?
Sabulous. Maybe the opposite of fabulous? I don't know. What is it?
Sandy or gritty.
Sabulous is sandy or gritty?
Yeah. I was not, cause I was thinking.
I got it for a sentence. I know a sentence I can use sabulous in.
Go ahead.
Ruth Ann is fully gluten-free, and when I eat her gluten-free food, it's very sabulous. That gluten-free food sucks.
We come across very few actual real good ones. And then when you do find something that's really good, you can't just get it anywhere.
And it is sabulous.
A lot
Honestly,
of it is sabulous.
Grainy.
Some of it could be very sabulous, yes.
Yeah, there you go.
There you go.
All right, we're out of here.
Peace.
Peace. Praise the Lord.